Hey guys, Kevin for Jessica Jones, Season 1, Episode 7, aka Top Shelf Perverts, and again, another amazing episode. This really was, I think, the point where everything we've been building up to finally came to a halt in this episode, and there's a lot that's going to happen in the last 6 episodes. I really don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the season, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing what's going to happen, because I like unpredictable TV. If you guys know me, I like it when shows are unpredictable, and this show's been exactly that. Nothing in this show I have predicted, and this is another great example of that. There were some amazing scenes in this episode, but let's just get into it because it was another great episode, and there's a lot to get into. So as we know, in the last episode, Kilgrave found Jessica's old house, and he went into it, and we start off right there. We see creaks down in the dark, empty hallway outside Jessica's apartment, and inside, Kilgrave is just basically invading all of her privacy. He's looking at Jessica's files, photos of Hope. He even uses her bathroom. I mean, that's a great example of how he's, invading her privacy. He doesn't let her have any privacy because he pretty much controls that. He lurks into her bedroom. Someone knocks at the door, and it's the neighbor, Ruben, and this is the perfect example of someone that is at the exact wrong place at the exact wrong time. He's there with a plate of food, and if you remember, this is the guy that wanted your banana bread, but she rejected him. Kilgrave opens the door. Ruben asks who he is, what he's doing there. Kilgrave tells Ruben to tell him who he is and why he made Jessica banana bread. And Ruben reveals that he loves Jessica, which is very interesting to think about when we get into what happens to Ruben in this episode. So Jessica then gets kicked out of a bar. She's thrown to some garbage bags on the street, and a hobo wakes up and tells her that she stinks before asking for $1. And she tells him straight out that she's a piece of shit, which is exactly what Luke said to her. And by far, this is probably the worst we've seen Jessica. Obviously, she's a really great character, but in terms of anti-hero, this is the most anti-hero we've seen Jessica be so far, and I love seeing that. So, she gives him a Blimpies club card, which is 2 away from a free sub. I'm pretty sure that's the place she worked at that sold hot dogs. And across the street, we see Jerry's wife leaves a clinic, who we didn't know her name. Her name is Wendy. We find her name in this episode. Wendy asks if she's being followed, and Wendy clearly doesn't want anything to do with Jessica, and Jessica then demands that Wendy sign divorce papers, and Jessica muscles her around, threatens her near the subway tracks, and the scene that she talks to her about I thought was very interesting. She holds her up over an imminent death on the tracks, and she talks to her about shame. She says, have you ever felt real shame? I felt real shame. You really don't understand how shame feels. And you can clearly tell that Jessica is really not taking her secret to Luke very well at all. I mean, she really is feeling like it's her fault and that she needs to do something about it, and headlights illuminate the 2 of them as the train approaches, and Jessica accidentally drops Wendy, jumps down. I thought she was going to kill Wendy, honestly. I thought Wendy was going to die here. She jumps down to toss her back onto the platform. She stands in the way of a train, ready to take a hit, and jumps out of the way at the last minute, and that was just incredible. The way that she kind of saved Wendy showed that Jessica is still a hero. She really is. Now, something else I like about this episode is Malcolm. Malcolm in this episode really starts to be seeming to be the guy that really, I think, wants to paint Jessica in a good way. I mean, he really sees her as this hero. He sees her as a good person. He's really the only person that doesn't see her as a vigilante and really sees her as a hero, and I think that definitely is very interesting, his character. I mean, who would have thought, back in episode 1, who would have thought that Malcolm would be the heart of the show and really the guy that proves, that wants to right the wrongs of what Jessica's done. I never would have seen him as that, but that's exactly what he does in this episode. He's trying to prove that Jessica is a good person when she really doesn't think she is. So he's dressed like this 80s fitness freak. He finds her drunk in an elevator. He helps her into her apartment. He tells her that, which was very interesting because if you remember the first scene we saw of Malcolm, like back in episode 3, she helped him out, and I like how he's doing that to her. And he tells her she needs electrolytes and something solid in her stomach. She goes to lay on her bed and notices that she's laying in the blood of Ruben, and Ruben is dead. He lays next to her with a slashed throat, knife in his hand, and I mean, like I said, he is in the exact wrong place, the exact wrong time. Kilgrave has killed Ruben, and something else I loved is that Kilgrave in this episode was really at the forefront of everything. This is by far the most we've seen of Kilgrave, I've said every episode, but definitely this Kilgrave is now an essential part of this. So Malcolm walks in, drops a glass of water on the ground. I mean, how could you not? I mean, just a dead body. How could you not freak out about that? He's obviously freaking out, and Jessica sees a bloody footprint and realizes that it was Kilgrave, and Jessica starts to panic and cry that she can't keep fighting Kilgrave. she just doesn't want to do it anymore. After what's happened, she doesn't want to do it. And Jessica tells Malcolm that he can't call the cops because they'll arrest her. She says the first death that she's directly connected to. She closes Ruben's eyes and says she's gonna end it. And she suggests that she goes to jail. And I thought that was an incredible scene. I mean, just finding out what Jessica wants to do. The fact that she actually wants to turn herself in for something she didn't do, kind of to feel it's kind of for the catharsis of Reva's death and get over that, because clearly she's still hung up over that. I don't think this really has to do with Ruben's death. I think this literally is just she was already thinking about Reva's death, and now she's thinking about Ruben's death, and she's gonna turn herself in for killing Reva when really it's gonna be for Ruben. I think that definitely is very interesting that we saw that here. So Malcolm and Jessica are debating Jessica's plan to go to jail. Malcolm really doesn't support the idea. He doesn't really think it's right, which really it's not. I mean, realistically here, it's not. She did not actually kill, she did not actually kill Ruben, so it's really not the right thing to do, saying that Jessica could spend the rest of her life in jail. And Jessica calls Detective Clemens of the homicide precinct, and Malcolm tells her to stop, but Jessica muscles him away, and she's going to talk to Clemens during his 8 p.m. shift. She forces Malcolm to leave, and she has this plan in the back. She knows what she's going to do. So Will and Trish are having sex at Trish's apartment, which very graphic scene for Marvel standards. I know that that's the point of the show, but I can't keep reiterating that enough, because really, this show has really graphic sex scenes, especially between Will and Trish. And he tries to pull out, but she doesn't let him. He tells her that it was intense. Trish's phone rings, and she ignores it. You can definitely tell these two are getting a lot closer, and it was Jessica and Trish, Trish doesn't feel like hearing about how things aren't her fault, because she doesn't want to hear about it anymore. So Trish reveals that she is up to something, but she won't reveal it yet, and it involves Kilgrave. She might have a lead. She gives Will an envelope full of photos of Kilgrave's guards, and Will says it can't be true because the first rule of personal security is to keep clients a secret. So Will wants to kill Kilgrave, which I think is very interesting. And Trish tells Will he doesn't get to decide then. She wants justice for Jessica and for Kilgrave to live alone and wish to die but not be able to. That's how long she wants to keep him alive. She doesn't want Kilgrave to die yet, which honestly is much more painful than killing him. I think it's a very, more painful death than them just killing him. I definitely agree with Trish that Kilgrave needs to die knowing that he's going to be alone and that he can't go for Jessica. He needs to die that way. Now, do I think Kilgrave's going to die this season? No, I don't think Kilgrave is dying this season. I don't think Kilgrave is going to die till the show is over, because he's the big thing of this show. He's the big villain of the show. I don't think he's going to go away that easily. So, I gotta say, I don't think they're going to kill Kilgrave in general this season. So Jerry prepares her assistant as they walk into a courtroom, and again, we do have a lot going on with Jerry, Wendy, and Pam in this episode, but I actually found it interesting because, again, it really connects to Jessica. So Jessica jumps out, tells Jerry that she needs a lawyer. Jessica tells Jerry that Wendy will sign a divorce paper, but Jessica demands a lawyer, and Jerry sends Pam inside, asks Jessica what she wants. Jessica asks what it would take to get locked up in Supermax prison, and Jerry explains it is only for the very worst people. So now you're realizing that not only does Jessica want to go to jail, she wants to put herself in the worst prison possible, basically, I think, to heal herself and punish herself for Reva's death. And she asks Jessica what she's going to do. Jessica says it's already done as she leaves, and Jerry knows that Jessica has something very bad planned. She doesn't exactly know what it is, but she knows that it involves her, it involves Jessica getting into basically the worst prison possible. Pretty much Alcatraz. That's what Supermax prison is. It's pretty much Alcatraz. So Malcolm enters the room with Ruben's body. He says that he can't believe that he's doing this before locking up the apartment. And before locking up the apartment, Ruben's sister's yelling at him and says it isn't her apartment. She tells him she has a bullshit radar that the size of West Texas, and he tells her he was searching for some alcohol. He basically is doing whatever he can to cover up Ruben's death. She accused Jessica of hiding something about her brother, and Malcolm tells her that they're involved. She thanks him for telling her the truth. Malcolm stops her and tells her that Jessica is not a bad person, and again, I like how he really is the only person that is humanizing Jessica. It's very interesting. I like the way they're writing Malcolm here. Malcolm is turning out to be a much better character than I thought. I thought Malcolm was going to be what Will is, basically. Now, Will's not a bad character. He's just my least favorite right now because they really haven't given him too much to do. I will say that. I think he's a good character, but the position that Will's in, I thought was a position Malcolm was going to be in, and he's really not. Malcolm's a much more developed character than that, and I really love that. So Jessica enters Luke's bar. It's empty. A barback moves some things around and tells Jessica that Luke took some time off, went away for a while, and I don't think we're going to see him for a while. I do think he's eventually going to come back this season, but right now at least, I feel like the stuff we didn't see of him is what we're going to see in Luke Cage. I feel like Luke Cage is going to pick up right after the scene with Jessica and Luke, and then we're going to see that. Not that I don't think we're going to see Luke again in this show. I do think we're going to see him before the season's over. But who's to say that Luke Cage can't be, like, non-linear or take place at a certain time? Like, they could easily do that. I mean, because these two shows are have already crossed over, what Luke Cage is going to do is a mystery to me. I'm not here to talk about Luke Cage. I'm just saying I think the reason we're not seeing Luke is because what we didn't see with Luke in this episode, we'll see in Luke Cage. So she just wanted to tell him that the right people are going to pay for what's been done. She doesn't expect him to forgive her, and I like that she doesn't want forgiveness. She doesn't want to do that. She just wants to tell him how it's going. And the bartender tells her, when you burn a bridge, you have to learn to swim or fly, and I definitely do agree with that. I like the bartender in this episode. He clearly is trying to give her really good advice that you have to do something about it. You can either run away or you can accept it. When you swim, it's not as bad, but when you're flying, it's kind of like running away, and I definitely do agree with that. So Wendy enters Jerry's office, hands over the divorce papers. Pam walks in, and Wendy tells her that she's beautiful and naive. She tells Pam about the emails they shared and how Jerry bribed her first case and now threatened Wendy. And Wendy warns Pam that Jerry lies, and Pam says that that's never going to happen because, the first thing that Jerry and her ever talked about was that Jerry never lies. And Wendy demands 75% of Jerry's assets or she'll lose it. And Jerry thanks Pam for lying, and Pam is angry, saying it's difficult to defend her when her wife knows more of Hogarth's secrets, of Jerry's secrets than she does. And it's really crazy what Wendy's going to do. This is how you make the plot more interesting, is have Wendy really try to ruin something of Jerry's. I think it's really interesting the way they're doing that. And something else I like is that Jerry Hogarth was originally a man, and now they've rewritten it for a woman. And I like the way that they really haven't changed it that much at all. It just makes it that more interesting, and I really like that. Especially because Jerry, I believe, is the first lesbian in a Marvel show, which is really cool. So Jessica enters an office where little girls are getting ready for auditions, and the woman calling the talent in stops to call Jessica. Jessica wants to talk about Trish, and this is Trish's mother, who we do meet in this episode, and she cannot be more naive and she's probably as bad as Kilgrave, honestly. Trish's mother is as bad as Kilgrave. Honestly, she probably is worse, because Kilgrave is aware of what he's doing, but he has a motive and he actually cares about people. Well, I don't think Trish's mother really cares about people at all. She asks if Trish is still on drugs again, and Jessica criticizes the woman's lack of care of responsibility. She claims credit for caring for Jessica, but Jessica credits to furthering the Patsy Walker brand and a publicity stunt. She hasn't seen Trish in 3 years, except for an accidental encounter. Apparently something happened with a car, and she's claiming it's an accident. Bullshit. I don't think it's an accident. I don't believe anything this woman says. Jessica threatens Patsy to stay away, and we realize that Patsy is Trish's mom. That's why Trish goes by her, doesn't call herself Patsy anymore, because her mom is named Patsy. I thought that was very interesting. And if she doesn't, Jessica will find her no matter where she is. Jessica criticizes Patsy's choices in the past, which led her to royalty checks, and Jessica says Patsy has to stay 500 feet away, and she really wants nothing to do with her. Clearly, Patsy wants to be around in Trish's life, but Trish doesn't want her back. I mean, she changed her name, for God's sake. Clearly, she doesn't want you back. So Trish calls Will, who is following Kilgrave's security detail. He says they're not up to anything, but he is looking at Kilgrave, who's wearing a purple suit, and he's probably going to kill him, honestly. Even though Trish is telling him not to, I do feel like Will's going to try to make some attempts to kill Kilgrave. He doesn't do it in this episode, but I do feel like he's going to try to do that. So Trish knocks on Jessica's door. Malcolm brings her in, making sure she hasn't told Jessica, and he tells Trish that Jessica's in trouble and needs help stopping her from making a bad decision. Malcolm's going to show Trish the body, but wants to ensure that she doesn't freak out or scream. But of course she does when she sees it. I mean, how can you not freak out at that? She draws a gun on Malcolm, thinking he's responsible. He's pleading with her, saying that Kilgrave did this and that Jessica needs Trish's help. And again, I like that Malcolm is really proving himself to be a really great hero here. He's not falling for Kilgrave's plan. He's not working with him. He's getting Trish's trust, and in turn, he's saying that Jessica's innocent too. So he clearly doesn't want to go through with this. So Jessica gets out of the cab, claims she has 56 minutes of freedom left. She finds a locked door, rips it open, revealing a ladder, which she climbs to the top of the Verrazano Bridge. What she does here is insane, I have to say. She looks at the city, narrates how she hates goodbyes and how this particular goodbye deserves a last look, and back at her apartment, Jessica walks in to find Trish waiting in her desk. Trish tells her that Malcolm let her in. Jessica rushes to the bedroom and sees that Ruben's body is gone, and Trish cleaned it up, and Jessica insists she has a plan, but Trish said it's a bad plan. Jessica asks where the body is, but Trish deflects by saying she knows how to find Kilgrave, and, she doesn't want Jessica to go through this. She's just saying, you know what, let's just find Kilgrave and blame him for this, and she's telling Jessica that Will is following the security detail, and Jessica wants Trish to back off because she doesn't want her to be in danger, and that's kind of what she's been wanting to do all season. She wants Trish to back off, but there has to be a point where Trish needs to get involved. This is one of those situations where I feel Trish must get involved, because if Trish doesn't get involved, something very bad could happen to Jessica that I really think she'll regret. If Jessica goes through with this plan, she's really going to regret it, and Jessica has a heavy guilt weighing on her and blames herself for all the deaths, even if Kilgrave is the one truly behind it. She really feels like she caused it, because if she would not have killed Reva, this probably would not have happened. She just insists that no one else will die because of her, and she'll take herself out of the equation. She's not the hero Trish wanted her to be, and she wants to know where Ruben is. It's really sad because, look back at episode 5, Trish was the one that insisted that she be this hero, and now she really regrets it, and you see why the relationship is pretty strained, because, Trish wanted her to be a hero, and now she wants to know where Ruben is. So Malcolm drags Ruben's body to the river, dyes cement bricks to it. He uncovers Ruben's face and tells him a beautiful funeral doesn't guarantee heaven in another language. Before dumping him into the water, they literally take his head off. I'm not kidding you guys. They take his head off, and it's insane what they did there. That plan is ridiculous. It's crazy. So one of Kilgrave's guards brings him a Mickey Mouse statue, and Kilgrave gets in a Range Rover and drives off, and I don't know if that was because Disney owns Marvel. I'm not really sure why they did that, but whatever. Will watches, and Trish texts him and asks where he is. He clearly is still going after Kilgrave. He's not going to let anyone tell him otherwise. And Jessica then finds Malcolm and asks where the body is. Jessica begins to take her shoes off and hands Malcolm her phone before jumping into the river. And then you realize what she's going to do, because she goes to the police station, and this is when things get really crazy here. Because Jessica literally decapitated Ruben's head from his body. She carries his head in a bag, dumps it on Clement's desk, and basically she's going to make herself guilty for this murder. Whether her friends like it or not, she's going to do it because she wants to feel guilty. She wants to feel like this is her fault. So obviously she's handcuffed in an interrogation room, and her performance in this scene was just incredible. I loved the acting here. Jerry enters and defends Jessica, saying Jessica's gonna fire her, and the detective dismisses her. Jessica literally fires her. She fires her, and she whispers Jessica that she still owes her a favor and leaves. Jessica demands that Clemson put her in Supermax. She calls herself a top-shelf pervert, and Clemens reflects on their last meeting where Jessica said she was just trying to make a living. If you remember, there was that last time that they talked, this didn't happen, and he asked Jessica why she killed him. She says she's a killer and a sociopath. She reveals killing Reva to him, and he asks why. She tells him it was an accident. Supermax is the only place strong enough for her. She reveals her strength for breaking the cuffs and bending the chair. A cop walks in and tells Jessica she's free to go, and she's obviously very upset because, she really thought this was going to work out. And then you realize why, because in the office of the station, Jessica sees all the cops pointing guns at themselves and others. The detective walks out, tells everyone to drop their weapons, but the cop who freed Jessica points his gun at him, and Kilgrave is the one that bailed her out, which would make perfect sense. Obviously, he wanted to get to her, and we finally have Kilgrave and Jessica's first real interaction. And I like this taking them so long to get to this point, because we knew it was coming, but it's taken them a very long time. We've waited enough, and I think it was the right time for this to happen. Kilgrave tells everyone to calm down, and he approaches Jessica. She asks he let them go. He claims to have no intention of controlling her. Jessica claims he's torturing her, but he says that he is being insecure. He claims not to be torturing, but rather he loves her. He's not torturing her, and she tells him he was ruining her life, but he says she didn't have a life, and he was trying to show her what he sees, and he's the only one who matches and challenges her, and will do anything for her. Now, this I find very interesting, because now we really understand what Kilgrave's doing. He really loves Jessica. She is his protege. She's the person that he cares about the most. And we don't know if it's like a daughter love, or if it's like a lover love. We don't really know what kind of love it is. Whatever it is, it's very interesting because he really loves her. He loves her, and he's done all this stuff for her, and She tells her that he has killed innocent people. He degrades Ruben and tells her he was annoying and just got in the way while he was leaving her present, which is darkly humorous. I like the dark humor that Kilgrave has. He says he's going to prove it to her. A phone rings, and Kilgrave literally asks the room whose it is, and it's the detectives. He smashes it on a wall and tells them the next person whose phone rings has to eat it. I mean, it's insane. He has all these people, like, frozen and is controlling every single one of them. The fact that he could do this is just incredible. He continues on this tirade. She tells him she'll come with him. He wants her to want to come rather than want to protect these police officers. He tells her he didn't know unsatisfactory it was to not get what he wanted until she left him to die. She makes him feel something he's never felt before, and he tells her that he missed her, and he says that he's there now, you've got, and she says that she's, she says, you've got me. He tells her he doesn't, but he hopes she'll choose him like he chose her. He says they're inevitable. He has a man finished deleting all the security footage from the night and picks up the bag with Ruben's head in it. He tells everyone 30 seconds they'll realize this was a joke and they'll let Jessica Jones leave. And again, he's controlling them. He wants her to get out there. He tells her to look for his president. When she's ready, he'll see her at home. He swings the bag on his way out. The room starts laughing, and Jessica walks out, and that was just crazy, this interaction that they've had. We now know so much about what's going on with Kilgrave in those 30 seconds, and I love that. I mean, just from that one scene that was not even a minute long. It was quite short, actually. I like how we found out so much what was going on there. Knowing that Kilgrave is really only doing this because he loves Jessica. To him, he hasn't done anything wrong. To him, he's done all this because he loves Jessica. Am I defending what Kilgrave's done? No, he's still a psycho. He really is crazy still. I am going to say that. But he does love Jessica, and he's done all this stuff for her for a reason, and now we kind of know what his plan is. He clearly wants to be close to her because he doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't want to be away from her. That's his fear, is to be away from her. And I like the way that Jessica's kind of playing and making it seem like she actually kind of wants to interact with him, when really she wants nothing to do with him. I think it's really interesting the way she's doing that. So Jessica then runs down the street. She rushes into her apartment, begins going through drawers, cabinets, closet, everything. She finds the box Reva gave her in the hallway and the floor. She feels like this is kind of going to be the end. She opens it, finds a box inside with a note on top of it that says, "Start at the beginning. It's the diary of Jessica Jones." She packs a bag and leaves. Ruben's sister barges in, wants to know where he is, and this scene was so sad with Ruben's sister. I mean, again, she doesn't know what's happened to her brother. She finds his shoe, tells Jessica to apologize to him about the shoe on her behalf. She'll take him this weekend. She reflects on giraffes and how he loves long necks, now he's sensitive about his neck, and Jessica tells her that Ruben is not coming back. His sister wants to know where he went, saying he can't take care of himself. She blames Jessica, saying they were fine before she came there. She urges Jessica to find Ruben, offers Ruben. Jessica gets emotional. She starts down the hallway. It's really sad because, no one should have to go through that. No one should have to know that their brother's dead. I mean, it's really sad that Jessica had to tell her that, but what's done is done. So then we see a flashback here. This is really interesting. Jessica arrives at her childhood home by cab, and she remembers herself and Patsy walking out to a car. Patsy tells her that they'll buy her a new journal. Patsy criticizes Jessica's etiquette. Just in that one scene, she's criticizing her. Trish is in the front seat with bruises on her neck, covering them and telling Jessica it's rude to stare. And I think this is the first instance that Jessica saw that her mother was abusing her. This is nothing new. Jessica knew this all her life, and she Trish really didn't want to acknowledge it. So Kilgrave, then the ending of this episode, I love it. I thought the ending of this episode was perfect. I loved it. It couldn't have been better. Kilgrave walks out, sees Jessica in the street. Jessica walks him. Will looks on from the street, puzzled. He has no idea what's going on. They walk inside the house, and that's how the episode ends. So it looks like Kilgrave and Jessica, there's a lot that's going to happen with them. There's a lot we still don't know. I mean, I still kind of feel like Jessica's known Kilgrave a lot longer than it seems he has. And we still don't really know what's going on here. What's that growth thing about? What's all this stuff he's known about her? Does he truly love her? Is he just playing her? Jessica, I think, is playing him. She wants to make him think that she cares about him when she really, I don't think, gives two shits about him. She kind of just wants him away from her life forever. I think that really is what Jessica's main mission is just get the hell away from Kilgrave, obviously. But Kilgrave seems like he does care about her. I think he is sincere when he says, I care about you, I like you, I want to be with you. I think he's sincere about that. So we'll have to see what happens with that, because that's very interesting. Patsy. The revelation that Patsy is, the revelation that Patsy is, in fact, Trish's real name, and that she changed her name because, she was offended by her mother and things like that. That was very interesting. I really like that. Is Patsy going to get away from her daughter? We'll have to see. Obviously, Jessica doesn't want her away. We'll have to see what happens with that. Malcolm trying to portray Jessica in this positive light is a good idea, but I really feel it's not the best thing to do because she clearly doesn't see herself that way. And we're going to have to see what happens with that. that definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, I feel like Malcolm's the kind of guy that's going to end up killing himself just to prove that Jessica is this hero. I really feel like that's what he wants to do here. Is Will going after Kilgrave? I mean, obviously, he's following his every move. He's going after him. I think it's safe to say that he's not going to listen to Trish's advice. He's still going to go after him. He's going to find out what Kilgrave is doing because he wants to kill him. He doesn't want anyone to have to suffer anymore. I mean, why would you want someone to suffer after what Kilgrave's done? I can totally understand that. That makes perfect sense, what's going on there. Wendy and Jerry, what's going to happen with Wendy? Obviously, she wants all this stuff from Jerry. We're gonna have to see what happens with that. I like that Jessica doesn't really want sympathy from Luke, but she does want to talk to him. Where did Luke go? Is he gonna come back? We'll have to see what happens with that. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. I definitely really loved it. Another amazing episode. I love that we're finally getting this conversation between Jessica and Kilgrave. It's really great stuff there. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. We'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for The Man in the High Castle. Yes, I'm still watching that show. I know I'm behind on it. I know some of you don't like me watching that show, but whatever. I'm gonna review it anyway. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next episode. I have 6 episodes left. Hopefully, I can finish it this weekend. I really hope to. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for The Man in the High Castle, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.